Let me ask, is the wilderness calling to you? And I'm not talking about let's go away for the weekend, turn off our phones. I mean that deep down, I want to go run around and get adopted by a pack of wolves sort of vibe. If that sounds like you and you are trying to harness that type of power and maybe talk to a squirrel about where it took your car keys, then it sounds to me like the Druid is your path. But if you are planning to play one in the 2024 game, let's pump the brakes of the car you now can't get into. Before you start planning out all of the awesome animal forms you can turn into, you need to know that a few things have changed, kinda drastically. Wizards of the Coast has gone back to the roots of the class, did a little bit of weed whacking to all of that tangled undergrowth, and they've planted the seed of something new. They've streamlined some of those clunkier parts, and what we're left with is a true force of nature in my opinion. Yes, I am breaking out all the puns this time. In this guide, we are going to break down the 2024 Druid level by level and hit on the 4 subclasses in the 2024 Player's Handbook. After this, you will have all the info needed to bring the power of the wild to your next adventure. But of course, who am I? I'm Sir Bearsworth, guiding creators, shaping worlds, and forging heroes. And as a druid, you are going to embody the very world we are shaping. So, let's get into it. Before we talk about the level up path, let's talk about the new blueprint for druids. There are 2 big changes that came to the class, and one of them will sound very similar to our previous class video on clerics. These changes do reshape the beginning of your journey, but I think by the end, you'll be happy with the changes that were made. Our first massive change is a shift on how wild shape works. Remember all the times everyone was frantically swiping through the monsters manual to find the particular CR of the beast that you wanted to turn into? Yeah, I hated that. Instead of being able to change to whatever you want, you now pick up to 4 forms when you're starting out at level 2. This goes up to 8 down the road. These function as kind of your prepared transformations. You don't get to be all loosey-goosey with what transformations you have on tap, but this hopefully helps keep things way more organized at the table when you plan to wild shape. They also changed around having a separate hit point pool for your transformation. It is now just temporary HP. The next biggest change with Wild Shape is it is no longer an action. It's a bonus action now, meaning you can transform and still attack in the same turn. This is no longer gatekept behind the Circle of the Moon Druids. Our second big change is called Primal Order. Like I said, very similar to the cleric, you make this choice at level 1 and set the foundation for your entire druid going forward. You pick between 2 paths, Warden or Magician. Picking Warden, you become a bit more of a frontline force of nature, getting medium armor proficiency as well as martial weapon proficiency. You can be a warrior in hide armor swinging a greatsword and then a bear a couple of seconds later. Who needs the fighter when you can maul people and then maul people? Choosing Magician, you are definitely leaning down that caster style of play. You get an extra cantrip to use, as well as being able to use your wisdom modifier for nature and arcana checks. Alright, grab your best wooden staff, and let's walk through this level by level. At level 1, you get your spellcasting and that first primal order choice. You're a full caster, and you are pulling all of this magic from the natural world around you. You are fueled by your wisdom. You get to prep your spells every day from the entire druid spell list, which means your versatility is only matched by your daily indecisiveness. Plus, with the 2024 rules, you can swap out a cantrip when you level up. You also get the feature Druidic. You now have Speak with Animals always prepared, meaning you can finally ask the question, "Chicken, why did you cross the road?" At level 2, your wild shape comes alive. You get 2 uses to start with, and you can get 1 back on a short rest, because nature believes in coffee breaks. You also get Wild Companion, letting you burn a use of your wild shape and cast the Find Familiar spell. no components required. This offers tremendous utility for reconnaissance, as well as having a nice little magical pet that does not need to be house trained. At level 3, you finally get to pick your subclass, your Druidic Circle. This brings it in line with the other classes of getting your subclass at level 3. You do have to wait a touch longer to pick which nature weirdo you would like to be. We'll talk about those circle options in a little bit. And at level 4, you get your first ability score improvement or feat. You get to pick these options at level 8, 12, 16, and at 19, you get that epic boon. Speaking about improvements, has your D&D knowledge improved from watching this video and or channel? If your answer is a resounding or quiet yes, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We're building an awesome little community here and would love for you to be a part of it. Also, what's your favorite beast to wild shape into? At level 5, you get Wild Resurgence. This brand new feature is the Druid's Energy Drink. You get to expend a spell slot to get a use of your wild shape back. Or once per long rest, you can do the reverse. Turn a wild shape into a first level spell slot. This is an amazing little tool that you can tap into in case you've turned into a bear one too many times, or not enough. At level 7, you get the feature Elemental Fury. This lets you choose between two awesome options. Primal Strike lets you add a D8 of elemental damage to your strikes, either acid, cold, fire, thunder, or lightning. Potent Spellcasting lets you add your wisdom modifier to your cantrip damage. This is a great little boost depending on which side of the coin you fell on when it came to Warden or Magician. Jumping all the way to level 15, you get Improved Elemental Fury. Your Primal Strike gets bumped up to 2d8 of elemental damage. As for Potent Spellcasting, any druid cantrip that has at least a range of 10 feet or greater. Yeah, am I reading that correctly? The spell's range increases by 300 feet. So if you ever felt the need to thorn whip someone from 3 football fields away, go for it. At level 18, you get beast spells, meaning that while you are in your wild shape form, you can still be slinging spells, unless it has a material component with a cost or it gets consumed on the spellcast. But who doesn't want to be a spellcasting mammoth? At level 20, you unlock your capstone. You are finally an Archdruid. You get to tap into your wild shape a crazy number of times. If you don't have any left when rolling initiative, you get 1 back to start. Nature literally refuses to let you show up as your boring old self. You also get the benefit of Nature Magician, so whenever you swap over a use of your wild shape to turn into spell slots, each use counts as 2 spell levels. So if you burn 2 wild shapes, you now have a level 4 spell slot to use. You also get Longevity. Your primal magic and holistic lifestyle now allows you to age much slower. For every 10 years, it's 1 for you. That's it for the main class. Let's jump into those circles and see what they got going on. Jumping back to level 3, it's time to specialize. Which flavor of Nature's Wrath is right for you? The Circle of the Land is the undisputed master of primal spellcasting. This time, instead of being locked to just one biome, you get to pick your land, arid, polar, temperate, or tropical, every time you finish a long rest. Perfect for those campaigns where you teleport all across the map. At level 3, you get your adaptable circle spells that change depending on which climate you're choosing for that day. And you also get Land's Aid, a new feature that creates a burst of energy anytime you wild shape, damaging enemies and healing allies. It's a eco-friendly bomb. At level 6, you get Natural Recovery, letting you regain some spell slots on a short rest. You can also cast one of your circle spells for free once per long rest. At level 10, Nature's Ward makes you immune to being poisoned and gives you damage resistance based on your chosen land. Fire for arid, cold for polar, lightning for temperate, and poison for tropical. At level 14, you get Nature's Sanctuary. you can use your wild shape to pop up a series of spectral vines that give you and your allies half cover as well as your damage resistance. It pops up in a 15-foot cube, so you and your allies can chill out there like it's your very own Fortnite fortress. Next, we have Circle of the Moon. The king of shapeshifters is back and better than ever. While the absurd early level health pools are gone, the bear had to go on a diet for balance reasons. At level 3, you get your Circle of the Moon spells, and critically, you can cast these spells from Wild Shape. Your circle forms also buff up your beast shapes, giving you temporary hit points equal to 3 times your druid level. Your AC also goes to 13 plus your wisdom modifier. At level 6, you get improved circle forms. This lets your beast attacks deal some radiant damage and adds your wisdom modifier to constitution saving throws. Now you are a holy bear. I love it. At level 10, you gain Moonlight Step. This is a bonus action teleport that gives you advantage on your next attack. Nothing is scarier than a bear that can bamf. You also get to use this a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. At level 14, you get Lunar Form. This lets you add a burst of 2d10 radiant damage to one of your attacks on your turn. And if you use your Moonlight Step, you get to take a friend with you, because teleporting is always better with a buddy. Next, on to the Circle of the Stars. This cosmic theme subclass is still a wonderful option, using your wild shapes to take your own unique forms, because why limit yourself to just one planet's nature? At level 3, you create a star map, giving you a bunch of free casts of Guiding Bolt, and you gain Starry Form. This bonus action transformation lets you choose from a series of constellations. You get to add some radiant damage to your ranged spell attacks as an archer. You can choose to either heal yourself or an ally within 30 feet of you when casting a healing spell with the Chalice constellation. The concentration protecting dragon form allows any roll for an intelligence, wisdom, or concentration check lower than a 9 to be treated as a 10. Meaning sometimes you just auto-succeed your concentration check. At level 6, you get Cosmic Omen. This reaction lets you add or subtract a d6 from any roll you can see. You are now the ultimate backseat gamer. At level 10, Twinkling Constellations improves your starry forms. The Archer and the Chalice have their dice increased, and the Dragon, just gets a fly speed. You can also just switch between constellations on the fly too. At level 14, Full of Stars makes you truly resilient. While in starry form, you gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing non-magical damage. You're like a glittery barbarian. Finally, our brand new subclass with 2024, the Circle of the Sea is your ultimate stormy warrior, for when you feel like being moody, mysterious, and very, very damp. At level 3, you get your circle spells, as well as a new feature, Wrath of the Sea. This lets you use a wild shape to create a damaging and pushing aura around you. It's like social distancing, but with cold damage. It starts out as just 5 feet around you, but that's about to change. At level 6, you get Aquatic Affinity. Your Wrath of the Sea aura expands to 10 feet now, and you get a swim speed. At level 10, Stormborn is a awesome power-up. While your Wrath is active, you gain a flying speed and resistance to cold, lightning, and thunder damage. You're not just in the storm, you are the storm. At level 14, your Command of the Sea expands with Oceanic Gift. You can now manifest your Wrath of the Sea aura on an ally within 60 feet of you. Or, if you spend 2 uses of your wild shape, you and a buddy get it. Nothing says, "I love you, man," quite like giving your barbarian an angry water aura. Alright, we've covered the class and the subclass. Now, let's see how we put it all together. First, ability scores. For Druid, Wisdom is your sun, moon, and stars. Get it as high as you can, as fast as you can. After that, Constitution for more hit points, and it's essential for those better concentration checks. What comes next depends on your primal order. If you chose Warden, you'll probably want some solid strength, unless you just pick up Shillelagh and cast that over and over again. Now, if you went for Magician, Dexterity is a very smart move to boost your AC and get you into the fight a little quicker. This also helps because you're about as durable as a fashionable scarecrow. With your stats sorted, let's talk about some feats. Since your best spells require you to stay concentrated when that goblin kicks you in the shin, Warcaster is an awesome pick, as well as Resilient, specifically the Constitution version. Both make sure your concentration checks stay succeeding. For Wardens, Sentinel is a great way to control the battlefield. When you hit an enemy with an opportunity attack, it drops their speed to 0. They're going nowhere. And for Magicians, Fey Touched offers a free Misty Step, as well as any number of other spells to pick from. Finally, speaking of spells, for cantrips, Guidance is a must-have. This just makes you and your friends slightly better at everything. For offense, Thorn Whip is a great option. Solid damage and lets you pull enemies around the battlefield. It's your personal get over here. Produce Flame gives you a reliable ranged option and a handy nightlight. For leveled spells, Healing Word is clutch for getting your friends back up when they get dropped. Entangle is a classic, allowing you to just turn the battlefield into a tangled mess. And Moonbeam is your personal orbital laser. So, what's the final word on the 2024 Druid? In short, the class feels like it's truly blossomed. It's more cohesive, more balanced, and honestly sounds like a blast to play. I'm jealous. The combination of Primal Order choice and the streamlined wild shape features really create a flexible and fun foundation. You no longer have a situation where one subclass feels like the only correct way to play. Now, every circle presents a really compelling fantasy. Whether you want to be a frontline warrior shifting between forms, a master spellcaster of nature magic, a cosmic seer, or a walking and/or flying thunderstorm, the 2024 framework gives you the choice to see these visions through. So, what do you think about the changes? Which Primal Order and Circle combo are you cooking up? Let me know about your unhinged build ideas in the comments below, as well as your favorite beast. Don't think I forgot. But if this guide helped you out, then do me a solid, hit that like button. If you want more of these overviews for the 2024 classes, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. But I've been Sir Bearsworth, guiding creators, shaping worlds, and forging heroes. Now go forth and let the wild shape you. I'm really sorry for the puns in this one, guys. I had an energy drink before this. That's on me. I'll be better. But I'll see you all at the table.
Bye.